Hello to everyone, I'm Luca Lodi from the University of Florence, and I'm going to present you the joint research we made with Professor Mario Biggeri and Tiziano Di Stefano, titled Raw Materials, ESG and Sustainable Transition in an Interconnected World. Our main objectives consist in the study of ESG at the macroeconomic level and how it affects raw material flows between countries, and also the analysis of synergies and trade-offs promoting cleaner production and responsible natural resource use. We contribute to the current debate by analyzing critically the ESG framework proposed by the World Bank and using it to understand multilateral resource exchange patterns. This is helpful to study deeper the effect of economic activity on sustainability and the implication at the global level. This is a work in progress, although the main findings refers to synergies and trade-offs within and between different components of the ESG, and in particular those related to resource management. We will highlight the role of multilateral governance, and then we will stress the importance of the harmonization of multilateral and national policies for successful sustainable development strategies. We did so by using bilateral raw material content flows between countries from Gloria multi-regional input-output database, and for the ESG, we use the data from the World Bank. As first, we do the correlation between these ESG variable, and then we combine all to estimate the structural gravity with bilateral flows, including both domestic and international trade, and we use CP data to include other bilateral determinants. The World Bank data includes 71 variables, and now I'm going to show you how these are classified. As first, we look at environment, which covers several topics, from those related to climate change and natural capital endowment, but also some others related to food security. And here you can see governance and social, which covers the economic aspect, but also some other related to the access to services and other social issues, and those related to the political and institutional environment of countries. Then we put together all these variables in order to study the correlation between and within the dimension. Given the large amount of data elaboration, in the next slides I'm going to show you just the relevant findings. I start showing the within environment correlation, and we can see that several values are missing, the gray cell, and also there are several variables in contrast, represented by the red cells, because most of them they capture the same phenomenon, but to different point of view, for instance, heating and cooling days. Now, I'm going to show you the correlation between some selected variables of all the dimensions. The interesting finding here is that the variables related to the economic environment behave completely differently when we look at the interaction with the social and environmental components. In this slide is described the theory behind our estimates. We adapt the structural gravity model for monetary flows, the equation on the left, to one designed for physical flow, the equation on the right. As first, we can see that monetary flows can be decomposed by various materials contents. Then, the output became the domestic extraction, the expenditure, the material footprint. Within brackets, we have the terms related to the trade cost at the numerator, the bilateral frictions, and at the denominator, we include multilateral resistance terms, which are also market access cost, both for importers and exporters. From previous slide, we derived the following estimation equation. To control for multilateral resistance, we include both importer and exporter fixed effect, which provides robust results but make difficult to estimate unilateral variables as the ESG indicators. To solve this problem, we multiply the ESG by a dummy which is equal to 1 for international flows and 0 for the domestic. These do not measure the direct effect, but the effect of a certain ESG on international trade with respect to domestic flows. And then the second equation estimates the impact of bilateral policies, such as regional trade agreements, and the membership to international or supranational institutions. So, as first, we comment the estimates with unilateral variable, focusing on natural capital endowment and management indicators. The related coefficient, which are the negative one, determine where the effect is greater related to the domestic dimension. This means that some intervention on natural resource management would increase internal resource use with respect to the one destinated abroad. Then we move on the analysis of multilateral policies. We first measure the overall effect, and then we split the sample according to quartile of social and governance variable. Focusing on fossil fuel, we can see that being part of the EU or of the WTO increase physical trade content, and agreement promoting services are reducing it. But by splitting the sample and focusing on the top and the bottom quartile, we can see that in both cases the factor diminishing flows are compensated by those countries who have worsened ESG performances. Most of these countries are from the global south. The same happens for metal ores, which together with fossil fuel represent the largest part of critical raw materials. Even here, the reduction of material use related to service-oriented regional trade agreements is compensated by the increase of this use by another group of countries. To conclude, we will continue working in the integration of the World Bank ESG framework by exploring more the synergies and the trade-off, by extending the coverage and reducing missing data, and also we will try to obtain an effective composite indicator. Concerning bilateral material flows analysis, we see that environmental indicators are good predictors and allows us to see the issues from different perspectives. ESG are also useful for exploring the heterogeneity of multilateral policies. Finally, we observe that for an effective sustainable transition, it is needed to harmonize and combine domestic and multilateral intervention. Thanks for your attention.